This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you!
Boring. Boring. Boring.
Okay, you got it work. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember what you're doing. You're in no position to dictate what we're gonna feel.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
Greetings, one and all. How are you today? Lembit Öpik here. If you're watching this live, another week, another 5 days of crisis, probably. But welcome to Unprecedented TV, the home of free speech all around the world. We don't want to beat the mainstream media. We want to be the mainstream media. And today, you'll hear why. Today, we're talking about the changes in Iran and whether there will be any. And also, why has the media been covering it the way they have? All of that in just a moment. But I have to tell you, please don't forget to subscribe to Unprecedented TV on YouTube. Just put my name in if you can't find it. Lembit, Lembit, like on the screen there. And then Unprecedented TV. You'll get there straight away. You'll find hundreds of shows with a good shelf life. And this year, we're going to start with some art and creativity as well, which will have a great, in my view, longevity as well. And maybe a couple of classics coming up as well. But then I would say that, wouldn't I? Let's talk politics. Let's talk Iran. If you're interested in Iran, great, then you'll find the subject very interesting. If you're interested in truth, you should also enjoy the show today, because the question I'm asking is, who can you trust about the situation in Iran? A few facts about it. It's a huge regional superpower. About 90 million people. It's got more population than Britain. Did you know that? It's also got a longer civilization, going back thousands of years. People in Britain were still rubbing the sticks together when they had a pretty impressive Persian Empire over there. So lots of history there. Quite a fractious last 50 years or so. They had a revolution and they got rid of the Shah of Iran, who was a kind of friend to the West, and they created a republic for themselves. And they've been doing okay for a long time, but there always seems to be some dynamic tension between Iran and the West. Why is that? Well, joining me now is somebody who is no stranger to talking about controversial subjects. It's Warren Thornton, investigative journalist and reporter. Warren, how are you today?
I am absolutely fine. Thank you for having me, Lembit.
Always great to see you. Let's compare temperatures. This is a very live thing to do. So if you're watching this in the summer, it will make no sense. It's 4 Celsius here and it's pouring with rain. I almost hesitate to ask this. What's it like over for you in the over there for you in the Philippines?
It is 6 a.m. here and it's 25 degrees.
How much will that temperature go up in the day?
It'll go up because December and January tends to be the windy period when we're just starting to get into the warmer weather after the monsoon season. So it'll go up to about 26, 27. Only really becomes uncomfortable after January.
You're living the dream. You really are. You're living the dream. Well, I salute you for that. You made a decision. That reminds me of a phrase by Gore Vidal. Every time I see my friends do well, something in me dies. But we'll put that to the side for now. Let's talk about another place. And you'll know where this place is because I've trailed it already. You know where that is? Where is it?
Oh, wow.
Where do you think that is?
That looks very like Iran.
Yes. I believe, I could be wrong. I believe that is Tehran, actually.
It is Tehran.
Yeah, and it's just a stunning vista, a beautiful, one of the most beautiful vistas of a capital city anywhere in the world, I think. I haven't had the pleasure of going there, not yet, but I know a lot of Iranians and I'm very fond of them, actually. Interesting country. Well, that's the place that we're talking about today, Tehran. I think we've got another view of the city as well. Yeah, there we are. I mean, I just think there's something mystical and magical, and they get snow on the mountains. I don't know if you would think of snow as being relevant to Iran, but they do have mountain skis slopes and resorts as well. Presumably dry. Presumably you can't get alcohol there. That wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing, I think, actually. No. If you go down to Chamonix sometime in Switzerland, wow, or I never remember if Chamonix in Switzerland or France, but
France.
Is it? Sorry. There you go. Big failure for me there. We're not going to edit it out. If this was the BBC, they'd edit it out. But we're not going to do that. Okay, I've been to Chamonix, and I suppose it makes sense because they were speaking French there. There's an awful lot of après-ski going on there. I suspect not quite so much in Tehran, but they've been in the news for another reason, haven't they? Now, these riots and demonstrations have been widely reported if you're watching this live. If you're watching it in the archive, you'll be able to see how accurately we're talking about circumstances there in Tehran. But long and the short of it is, Warren, the Western media seem absolutely obsessed with suggesting that the country's government and leadership are on the ropes. What's your take on this?
No, it's simply not the case. Now, what happens is you get the protests. Now, what happens is you allow NGOs into your country. And of course, America have just taken over the Zangezur corridor, which is the Armenia-Azerbaijan little corridor in between the two countries that sits at the top of the north of Iran. And it's, how can I put it? It is run by not only the oil companies, but paramilitary companies are also in there. And of course, some bad actors are going in there as well. And of course, they filtered into Iran. The usual thing when you have an NGO, of course, they pump lots of money in them. People start to have these so-called peaceful protests, which don't last for long. And then they turn violent. And this is what America do and what Israel do when they want to overthrow the democratically elected government. I never use the term regime change because it's their language that they want to use to make you feel as though they've got a real bad bunch of people in charge. Now, you have to remember that the reason they're in charge in the first place is because America overthrew the democratically elected government of Iran and put the Shah in, who was a corrupt dictator that they then overthrew. So America caused this problem. And of course, it's sort of been their, shall we say, wet dream for the last few decades to actually get control of it back. And of course, what happens with these NGOs, Lembit, is that very soon turns violent. Now, these so-called peaceful protesters that Trump's going on about had flamethrowers, Kalashnikovs, and grenades. They even Molotov cocktailed a mosque with 8-year-old boys who were standing in the doorway. I mean, it is quite ridiculous. And of course, a friend of ours went for a drive round Tehran on my birthday, which was yesterday. Went for a drive round for 2 hours in Tehran at 10 o'clock at night. No protesters on the streets whatsoever.
So that's an interesting thing. I know people who've gone through Iran as well, or motorcycle rides, actually, as you say. They loved it. I know a lot of Iranians in the United Kingdom. I'm very fond of them. Okay, you can't judge an entire country like that. People meet British folk abroad, and they like the British folk. But they would be smart enough not to mix up the people they meet with Keir Starmer. So same kind of thing. But fundamentally, I have a lot of sympathy with Iranians generally because I find them gentle. And the thing is that their history goes back thousands of years. Their civilization, advanced civilization, predates Britain by thousands of years, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem that we have here, of course, is they started killing police officers and everything else. Now, Iran managed to get hold of a grip of the situation, realizing that this thing was being done by outside agents. Now, of the 17 so-called protesters that have been killed, 15 of them don't belong in Iran, and they're not from Iran. And you can guess where some of them have come from, of course. And of course, the problem is, of course, who's been feeding them weapons? Well, these are weapons that were left over. The section of, shall we say, people that are driving this are once again a Muslim sort of terrorist gang. And of course, their weapons have come from Pakistan. Of course, they've been funneled through that America left in Afghanistan when they left. So those weapons have ended up in Pakistan in the hands of these people and have now ended up in Iran. How strange that would happen.
Yeah, no, this is nothing. There's a lot of talk about the the numbers, and no doubt if you're watching this in the archive, the figures will have changed again. But the media really have been going mad about this. They've been going quite intensely critical of the situation, and all of them seem to be suggesting that this is huge crackdown, and that the Iranian government, they always call it a regime, or well, usually call it a regime, but the government of Iran has been heavy-handed. What's your take on it? What do you think?
Absolutely not. We started out pretty much the same playbook as you got in Georgia and elsewhere that didn't succeed in Georgia. First of all, you get the peaceful protests, then you get the riots, then all of a sudden somebody dies. It's exactly the same way that they overthrew the elected government of Ukraine and then installed the regime that they wanted in there. And of course, America very much want to do this. They've always been going back, Lembit. In fact, you and I have talked about this, and we've said as soon as the ceasefire happened, they'll be back for another go once, in a few months' time. And we said that around Christmas they were going to build it up. They were going to try and do a regime change through NGOs and riots inside the country. And if that doesn't work, they're going to reignite the war. And that's exactly what's happening, because we're getting aircraft that have gone. American aircraft that have flown to Lakenheath and Mildenhall that are now on their way to the Middle East. That includes tankers and jets.
No, this is the thing. So there's been, I understand, once again, if you're watching this live, this is relevant. If you're watching it from the archive, you'll be able to find out and determine if what we're saying is correct or not. But there's been a build-up of air power in Britain. And
Yes.
You're suggesting that's not about Ukraine, that's about Iran.
No, it's literally been about Iran. Now, we had a sort of joint operation where a heck of a lot of American tankers flew over, and a few of them were going to help out the British boarding the tanker that was out at sea, if you remember, the Mariana, that everybody went, oh, it's a Russian ship. Turned out it belonged to a Ukrainian oligarch. There were 3 Russians on board and 17 Ukrainians.
Hold
and
on, wait. Tell me that again. It belongs to Ukrainians.
Yes, yeah.
So why did they board it?
They boarded it because they believed it to be a Russian tanker.
Couldn't they tell just by talking to the crew or something?
Oh, you can't do that, Lembit. I mean, honestly, when you're doing a covert operation like this, it costs $3 million. That you end up with 472 men in all, with ships and helicopter crews and logistics and everything else. And of course, this took place over a week or so. And they boarded this ship. Turned out it belongs to a Ukrainian oligarch. There were 17 Ukrainians on board and 3 Russians.
Couple of thoughts. I don't want to go too far into it. It's a bit of a distraction. We'll talk about Ukraine another time. But I don't understand. We were told in the media again and again and again it was a Venezuelan ship. Then it was under a Russian flag. Nothing about Ukraine. What's going on?
Yeah, it was basically it wasn't a Venezuelan ship. It was a chartered out of elsewhere. And of course, maritime is always very, very very dodgy. You can have a Panamanian captain chartered out of Liechtenstein, but registered, in Saudi Arabia. This is how these things work. Maritime shipping has always been a bit, shall we say, flying close to the wind in terms of where you're operating from. And of course, they didn't do their homework. What they did was they went, that's been to Venezuela. It's obviously carrying oil. Well, it had no oil in it at all. They tried to spin that it had 2 million litres of oil inside it. It didn't. You can actually look at the ship riding very high in the water. And of course, we've spoken to a couple of people who were actually monitoring that ship. And of course, they've turned around and said we didn't find any oil, and it was quite embarrassing because we ended up arresting 17 Ukrainians. And 2 of the Russians out of the 3 have already been sent back to Russia by the Americans.
Oh, what a mess. All right. I indulged myself a bit.
Yeah.
Now, one of the headlines, I think it was from Sky, said that 500 had been killed at this stage. Yeah, there it is. More than 500 killed in Iran, US rights group says, as president accuses terrorists of starting chaos and disorder. The US-based human rights activist news agency said earlier on Sunday, that's 11th of January, if you're watching this in the future, that most of the victims are killed by live ammunition or pellet gun fired predominantly from close range. Now, that's a big number. If that sort of number is being killed, that's quite serious.
Yeah, it's nowhere near 500. It's more like 100, Lembit. And what you've got is in that amount, there's about 25 police officers and various Iranian, shall we say, security forces, including a man who was literally kicked to death by the protesters, who was doing nothing but guarding an ancient monument. They set fire to God knows how many ancient monuments. These things always turn violent, and they're looking to violently overthrow the government. These are paid actors who do this, Lembit. And of course, the whole idea is regime change. They haven't gone after, they haven't gone after anything else. The whole idea, even the 12-day war, was about getting the Ayatollah overthrown. It wasn't about, just completely blitzing the country so it wouldn't be able to defend itself. And in fact, America used 12% of all the missiles they have, giving them to Israel and firing them. And of course, by then, America are very much was like, no, we'll have a ceasefire, because Iran went, there's your base in Qatar, we'll hit it. And that was a real shock, because it took out a radar center. And of course, the Iranians have now turned around and said, if you come for us, we've got even more toys given to them by the Russians. And the Chinese have offered them all the help they need, including military.
Yeah, that's right. There's one of the headlines, actually, which is relevant to what you're saying. Iran warns it will retaliate if U.S. strikes or attacks as hundreds killed in protest. That's quite a direct statement, and it's an understandable one, I suppose, certainly from the Iranian point of view. After the break, I want to talk more about where we stand with the geopolitics. I also want to take a deep dive with you into the extent to which we can trust what journalists and reporters are saying. You're watching me, Lembit Öpik, here on Unprecedented TV on Lembit Öpik Live, and we're talking about something which is rather serious, the situation in Iran, but also how it's being reported. Somebody else who gives us very good advice and very good news reviews is Tim Scott from Tim Scott Uncancelled. He is the Supremo at the Freedom Association, fantastic liberty-based organization. What's this? That's Tim Scott Uncancelled, and by popular demand, we're going to increase the number of times we put those particular programs on, because you do want to see them, and that's great. Great compliment to Tim. Well done, Tim. Take a bow. Somebody else who shouldn't take a bow now because it'll look weird on television is Warren Thornton, our man in Manila, the thriller in Manila, Warren Thornton. You like living there, don't you?
I love it. It was I don't mean to be awful to anybody, and I love Great Britain, but it was the greatest thing I ever did was move here.
Well, we won't be moving. Neither you nor I will be moving to Ukraine or Iran anytime soon. Let's get back to that headline again. Let's talk about the way that the press covers this. More than 500 killed in Iran. Now, you dispute the figures. I want to dispute the level of objectivity that we're getting. I don't think that we're getting objective coverage of this, because when you watch the state-sponsored British Broadcasting Corporation, they make the assumption that the regime is bad. They use the word regime. They don't say the leaders in Iran or anything like that. It's always regime and so forth. And these people are becoming brave, and they implicitly big them up. What do you think about the situation there? To what extent do you think that actually something will come of this without external intervention? We'll talk about external intervention in a minute.
Well, nothing will come of it now, because Iran have got a grip of it, and they've actually killed a lot of these outside agitators. There has been gunfire, of course, and they've killed a lot of them. But to get to your point Nothing will come of it now. This is why America and Israel will be pushing for strikes on Iran, because their little coup plot has not materialized, and it hasn't worked. And of course, this is now being fueled in the media. You've only got to look you go onto X or a couple of other platforms and see how many people are backing Israel quite without any. They've never been to Iran in their lives, but they're backing Israel, and that should tell you where you are. I mean, of six of them, the biggest internet companies have a CEO who is definitely Jewish or Israeli or Zionist, whatever you want to call them. But of course, the media is absolutely overrun with Israel. The Senate, of course, in America we know that the AIPAC lobby is unbelievably strong. I think
tell us what AIPAC is. Just explain AIPAC.
This is it's the Israel lobby giving money to America, or getting money from America and lobbying America to look after Israel's interests. And they have an awful lot of money to spread around. So many of the senators get money from the Israel lobby, which is given to them in the first place by America, which sounds absolutely crazy.
I'm always very careful not to mix up Israel, which is a country, with Judaism, which is a religion.
Yes.
In the same way that I don't think that you should condemn all Catholics because Tony Blair started an illegal war jointly started an illegal war in Iraq. But I get your point there. One thing is the coverage has been quite intense. They've been showing us picture and video and scene after scene of people wanting to free Iran and so forth. I would be willing to bet almost every person who's reporting has never been, these news anchors and the people who write their scripts probably never been to Iran. And I'm just wondering if there's a deeper agenda here where the mainstream media in the West kind of wants Iran to change because they don't understand it. And they think that their way is better.
Let's be absolutely frank here. I'm going to say this: the religion of Judaism is nothing to do with the Zionist lunatics that are running Israel and that are out of control at the moment. And you've only got to look at what's happening in Gaza. Actual people have been posting pictures of children that were starving in Gaza and saying that it was Iran. There are pictures of women burning pictures of the Ayatollah, and people going, this is the bravest woman in the world. And of course, they live in Canada, in Ontario. They don't live anywhere.
Really?
But, yeah, absolutely. I've got pictures of it. And she goes by the name of Morticia Adams, would you believe? And of course,
really?
She lives in Ontario, in Canada. She's being held up as the poster woman for freedom for women. And of course, many of these, there you can see Rebel News 9, which is Israeli backed. And it is quite incredible when you see this. And then, of course, you get the Europe correspondents and everything else. Ursula von der Leyen, who never came out and condemned the people of Gaza, Israel killing all those people in Gaza, is now coming out and saying we've got to free Iran from the tyranny that they're undergoing. I mean, it is quite sickening. And there is an agenda here, and this is nothing to do. In fact, if you go and look at the Iran counter protests, the people who are protesting against the protest during the daytime, quite incredible. And it's always the same, Lembit. You see all these people going out and counter protesting against the riot are going out during the daytime. It's completely peaceful. At night, every now and they've got a handle on it now, but they're throwing Molotov cocktails. They've got grenades. They've got Kalashnikovs. One of them even had a flamethrower, Lembit. How did they manage to get their hands on that?
A lot of pictures like this suggesting that this is the rise of women's rights and so forth. And this,
all right.
The problem with the whole thing is, Warren, this is my opinion. As I say, I've worked with Iranians quite closely since I was actually a member of parliament. I actually had a lot of meetings with the Iranians about human rights, and they cooperated and they released a lot of people from prison, Baha'is mainly, because I was the chair of the All Party Baha'i group, and I found them agreeable. They're people you can do business with. You can talk to them. And
Yes.
the idea that you demonize these people as ogres, the way that the West used to demonize Russians and are doing it again now, it's worrisome to me, because it means that the media itself, perhaps not even always on purpose, is nevertheless presenting bias.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you've ever been to Iran, and I've been, you can go to cafes there. There's people without scarves over their heads and everything, perfectly normal. They look like perfectly normal women, not that people with with scarves on their head. You can choose to wear one. You can choose not to. You haven't got women walking miles behind men, and they're all dressed up like some sort of letterbox or something. It's not the case. Everybody goes out. They're being perfectly normal. There's a cafe culture at night because it's nice and warm there. So obviously you can go and sit in a cafe and you can eat and drink, and they're perfectly lovely people.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you said about Iran's, and what I said about Iran's importance. It's a huge country. There we are.
Yes.
So Iraq on one side, they had a very bloody war. Where on that time, I think we were on the Iraq side, and then we were not on Iraq side. Now on the Iraq side again. You have Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Pakistan. It's amazing how close Dubai is to all of this. Actually,
yes,
UAE. I believe that you can actually see Iran from the United Arab, from Dubai. I think that's the bit that you can see actually.
Yes,
sticking out there. I can't remember exactly what the geography of the place is, even though I've been there many times. Shame on me. But Iran is enormous, and it seems to be actually a moderating force, in my opinion. In my opinion,
yes.
When America goes in and sets up things and accidentally creates ISIS, or ISIL as they were called in the end, Iran's the General Soleimani, who was actually assassinated by the Americans. He was the guy who wiped the floor with them and put them back in their box. Yeah,
absolutely. And the thing that you have to remember about this as well, there's a third player in this, which is Saudi Arabia, who are funding the riots that are there. And they've done that. And of course, when they're not busy doing that, they're normally lobbing a couple of missiles every day at Yemen. Now, don't get me wrong, the Middle East is a hodgepodge of people who absolutely hate each other. There are fanatics on all sides of the argument. But this is fueled by Israel. The more unrest and the more upset there is. This is the thing that you have to remember with Iran. When did you hear of Iran in the last 10 years say that they're going to go and bomb someone, that they're going to go and invade this country, or they're going to go and smash this country, and then put them alongside Israel and the things that they've been talking about Lebanon, about Syria, about Iran, about other countries? It is quite staggering that people are, it's either the power that Israel have, or it is quite staggering that people are that blind that they can't see the wood for the trees.
Is this one of the Iranian bombers you're talking about?
Yeah.
That is, of course, an American bomber. Weird looking thing. And they used some of these to bomb the alleged Iranian nuclear sites. But as I said before, we won't put that up again, Iran's saying not going to be too happy. It's going to take retaliatory action if there's more bombing. If you were advising the West, that they were smart enough to employ you to advise them about what to do in terms of the situation in Iran, what advice would you give?
My advice would be to them very, very simply, when it comes to Iran, Israel is plunging headlong into, shall we say, the most unpopular period it's ever had in his life. Nobody's buying the anti-Semite nonsense anymore, which is a trope that they use whenever you criticize Israel. And you're right to criticize Israel when they're killing people left, right, and center. You're right to condemn Hamas. You're right, for what happened on October the 7th. You're also right to condemn Israel for every single bombing that they've done in Gaza since then. And this is, it almost seems as though it's like the world owes us something, Lembit. And if I was giving advice here, I would say, stay out of the Middle East. You don't need to be involved in it. You've got Venezuela now, so you don't have to worry about all your oil getting cut off in the Straits of Hormuz. You've now got all the Venezuelan oil you can eat, even though the heavy crude does take some refining. But of course, you don't have to be going down this path. To walk hand in hand with Israel at the moment as a state is a bad idea, because Netanyahu and his hardliners are off the rails.
And I want to finish. We haven't got much time left. I want to finish on this subject about something else. Iran's got powerful friends.
Yes,
Vladimir Putin and the Iranian leadership do get on quite well, and obviously, to use a phrase I don't like very much, but it's accurate. When it comes to Ukraine, Putin's having quite a good war. He don't want to be having a war. He wants to get his goals through peaceful means. But he said, if I can't do it peacefully, then we'll do it militarily. And I have no doubt this is immensely helpful to Iran, to Russia, in terms of understanding modern warfare and developing their weapons.
Yes.
I worry that if we poke Iran too much, if we poke it in a substantial way, Iran will say, look, Vladimir, let's just talk about the future here. And you know very well, Warren, from my chats on your shows, that I think that the future is slipping away from the Western hegemony, the Western empire, in the hands of India and China and Russia. And it's pretty handy to have 90 million people in Iran on your side as well, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. And this is what they want to do. They want to, they've driven, the idiotic policies have driven Russia and China closer together. Destabilizing and completely overthrowing Iran would be something that would be enormously helpful to America and to Israel and to the West in general. But it's not going to happen, because China are going to give them all the help they need militarily. And remember that the Russians have also given now the S-300, S-400 integrated air defense system. So America are going to find it slightly different when they go back this time, if they go straying into the wrong place. And of course, China have the capabilities to strike from long distance. But this time, hopefully, rather than Putin having a calming hand on the shoulder of the Iranians, he'll just let them off the leash. And Israel will rue the day if they do this, and America do the strikes. And everything points to this, because we've got aircraft that are leaving the UK and heading out to the Middle East. When Iran look back at this, and Iran have just turned around and said, we will take the gloves off, remember that the Russians will be operating that S-300, S-400 system for them, because it takes about 2 years to train them up. So very simply, you're going to be killing Russians. How will that go down?
Let's finish on a positive picture. If we can get the one that I asked for before. There we are. That's it. Apparently, that's Iran too. Yes. I have to say, it looks beautiful. It really does look stunning. And I think that we don't often get to see this country with almost 93 million people, I think, in it, in anything other than a warlike way. And I don't understand why the mainstream media, including the British Broadcasting Corporation, which actually has a charter obligation to be objective, can't do it, in my view. Why do they just always take one side in this argument? Even if they don't believe the other side, even if the reporters don't believe the other side, even if they didn't agree with the line that you and I seem to be taking here, why don't they even give it any airtime?
It's not going to happen, because we don't have a balanced or unbiased media in the country anymore. The governments, they walk like lockstep with the governments. I mean, I've been to North Korea. It's beautiful. There's not people wearing, saipans and literally in the rice paddies up to their knee deep in water. North Korea is a very forward-thinking country, and of course, some of their missile technology is incredible. And I've been to North Korea. I found it absolutely beautiful. But many people who, shall we say, won't be allowed to go for the simple fact that they've already written awful things about North Korea and never ever been there.
Thank you so much. Little trivial factual question. You quiz me. If you're going to watch Warren's show, by the way, the next one, it's full of quizzes, and I don't do very well in them, actually. So have a look at that as well. Have a look at that. But to the nearest 2,000 feet, no, to the nearest 3,000 feet or 1,000 meters, what's the height of the highest mountain in Iran?
Feet
or meters, I'll take either.
Hang on a minute. Right, so it doesn't have any of the 14 peaks, which are over 26,000. I'm going to go 18,000.
You knew that.
No.
It's 18,402 feet. Mount Damavand.
Thank you very much
salute
indeed.
you.
Thank you. I knew it
really
wasn't
impressed.
one of the 28,000 meter peaks.
It's still pretty high, though. We got Ben
Yeah.
Nevis, 4,520. Yeah, they got 18,500 feet, 5,600 meters. Thank you. Where can we get another dose of Warren Thornton?
You can get another dose of Warren Thornton and my mountain knowledge over at warrenthornton.com. Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. live. And, of course, on Sunday nights live, 7 p.m. To 9 p.m. with the wonderful Lembit Öpik from Unprecedented
Yeah,
TV.
we'll be playing part of that. I have to say I was in transit. So I messed you around a bit on the most recent one if you're watching this live. But never mind the quality, feel the quantity. Anyway, there we go. Thank you so much. That is Warren Thornton. It's definitely worth going to see his work. It's fascinating, his insights as well. So I recommend you go to warrenthornton.com. Have a watch of his shows as well. We're going to be doing more collaborations, some very, very big reportage coming up with Warren, but more of that later on in the year. My view, Iran gets a bad rap in the mainstream media, whichever side you're on. If you are taking a side in the Iran situation, you got the right to have objective information. And that's what we're trying to do here. So whether you're Iranian or not Iranian, we try to do the work that the BBC was set up to do, but in my view, doesn't really do it so well now. And that's be objective. It's hard because we've all got bias. We just have. We live through a filter, don't we? But you can get to the facts and highlight the opinions. That's surely what we should all be doing. Thank you very much indeed. Do watch all the other shows as well. Unprecedented TV. This is our year, 2026. Have a great day, whatever you're doing. And remember, we provide you with the information and our opinions so you can make up your own mind. That is the essence of free speech, Keir Starmer.
Immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the sausages.